And I'd like to begin with a question, and that is this: can God create a rock so heavy that he can't lift it? Can God create a rock so heavy that he can't lift it? Children, can you picture that? Such a large rock that even God couldn't lift it. Perhaps you've heard this question before. It's really a classic question that skeptics will ask of believers. Because we say, of course, that God can do anything. God can do the impossible. God is all-powerful. And so they present this question as a challenge to that. But is it really a challenge? Is there anything that God can't do? Is there anything that's impossible for God? Oh, we have to say yes. There are things God can't do. God can't sin. It's impossible for God to lie. That's what the Bible says. I believe it's Titus. It's impossible for God to lie. That is something that he cannot do. And it's not that he chooses not to do that, but it's that God actually can't do that because it would go against his nature. His nature as a being who's perfectly holy and perfectly moral. So God can't sin. God also can't do something logically contradictory. What do I mean by that? Well, for example, God can't make a square circle. He can make a square, he can make a circle, but he can't make a square circle. Or God can't make a stick that has only one end. Sticks have more than one end. That's the reality of it. God also can't make something exist and not exist at the same time. See, these are all examples of things that are not logically consistent, but they're logically contradictory, and logical consistency is also a part of God's character. So what we're saying here is that it is impossible for God to go against his nature. It's impossible. But apart from that, God can do anything. God can create out of nothing. God can walk on water. God can keep people who are in a fire from burning. And God can make a 90-year-old woman become pregnant. So that's what we see here in Genesis 18 as the focus shifts to Sarah somewhat from where we were in Genesis 17 in relation to the covenant promises. We see that God announces to Abraham and Sarah that he is going to do the impossible. And this news that he gives is not too good to be true, because with God, impossible is nothing.